Hello everyone, it's Sandra from the Cherry Heart podcast. I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. I went to the Unravel festival last weekend with my lovely yarny friend Sam, who many of you will remember from the Betsy Makes podcast. We went to the Unravel festival, Yarn Festival, which is down in Farnham in Surrey. This past weekend. So I thought I'd make a little vlog / mini pod, and I'll show you what we did at the festival, try and give you a feel of some of the festival stands. I tried to do some filming when I was there, when I remembered. And I thought I'd show you my haul, so it's my Unravel haul video as well. But first of all, let me show you the footage of the festival. So I'm off on a little yarn jaunt today to Unravel, my first yarn festival in absolutely ages. And I'm going with my bestie, my yarn bestie, Sam, who a lot of you will know from Betsy Makes. And I thought I'd take you along. Okay, see you later. I don't know what else to say. And now you can turn around. That's fine. That's quite nice. Do you want to see what I got? We can get quite carried away when we go to festivals, me and Sam, so we tried to be a little bit more cool-headed this time. So we wanted to have a look around, sort of look at all the rooms, kind of take in all the stalls and get a kind of feel of what we liked, what we were interested in before we went in and splurged this time. So I tried to be a little bit organised about it, and I actually had my little list I'd made. I don't know if this is even going to show up. Yeah, so this is my little list, and then I had some of my key projects and what yarn and meterage I needed, so that if I was going to make a purchase, it could be a little bit more deliberate. And that sort of worked to an extent, but also kind of didn't. So yeah, so on that first circuit round, I did just see this little pom, which I knew I wanted. When I went to America and we popped over to Montreal, I did get a lovely one skein of quite chunky yarn there, which I thought would make a really nice hat. So I knew I wanted a pom pom for that. So I found this one, which has got, is it gonna? Yeah, it's kind of got a little bit more of a crinkly feel to it rather than the sort of, what's the word? They're normally very sort of straight, and this has got a little bit more of a kind of crinkly, what's the word? Kind of fleecy look to it, but it's very soft still. I don't think it's actually, yeah, it's faux fur, so it's not real wool or anything. But yeah, I like that, and I thought that was quite reasonable. It was £6, so I thought that was quite reasonable for that. So it was a really nice colour, really nice look, and a really nice price. So I did buy that on our first little walk round, and then we had a little bit of lunch. We had a little discussion about what we wanted to do, and then we went back and sort of to the ones we were a bit more interested in. So there was, I particularly wanted to get yarn for my peak sweater, and I didn't really have a definite thing in mind, but the stand that I wanted to revisit was Little Grey Sheep. So we went back again, we got chatting to the lady on the stall, who I don't know her name, I'm afraid. But I saw this one, which I liked. So what I wanted something pretty solid, but I didn't just want a flat colour, I wanted that kind of like a little bit of depth to it, a little bit of semi-solid feel. So there's a little bit of variation in colours, a little bit heathered almost or something. That's what I really wanted, so that the overall look was kind of one colour, but just with a bit more interest, a bit more depth to it. And I saw this and I thought, this is just the sort of colour I had in mind. It's exactly got those sort of variations in tone that I was after. But the only thing that was stopping me was just the itchy factor. So this is 98% virgin wool and 2% alpaca. So I was very attracted to it. And then, as I say, we got talking to the lady on the stand, and she was showing us some of the samples. So she showed us a sample of this Knit Up, which was this beautiful jumper with this, it was a brown jumper, and it had like woolen embroidery on it of these sort of pumpkins and mushrooms. Oh my god, it was gorgeous. I really loved it. If I had any kind of ability to sort of embroider onto knitted fabric, I would be wanting to make it because it was so cute. And the pumpkins were all kind of like somehow raised, kind of puffy. Yeah, and the little, what do you call it, sort of kind of spirals coming off the leaves. Oh, it was so cute. But anyway, we had a feel of that sweater. So once this is knit up and blogged, and actually it felt really soft and really nice, and I thought, yeah, I think I can go with this because it's a jumper I'm going to wear over things anyway. I'm not going to be wearing it directly next to my skin. I can't envisage that I'm going to be wearing it without at least a long sleeve, something underneath, so I thought this will be fine. So I got a sweater's quantity of this one. I needed 6 because I needed a lot of yardage. So that was my first purchase. And I was very pleased with that. It was exactly what I had in mind. And it's exactly for a pattern that I want to make, so that's very good. So I started off well. The pom-pom that I definitely needed, a sweater's quantity of the yarn I definitely needed for a pattern I had in mind. Then things went a little bit off-piste. So we went to, the next stand we went to was, Sam had seen a sewing pattern in actual fact. So it was on the Kettle Yarn stand, and she had some Merchant and Mills patterns, some samples, and she had some small quantities of fabric. So Sam had seen a quilted jacket that she really likes. I think I've got a bit of footage of her trying it on in the vlog. So yeah, so we went back to look at there, and while she was mulling over her purchases and having a chat through options with the lady from the Kettle Yarn store, I happened across this. It was Sam's fault, she left me unattended, and this is what happened. So this is, I'm not sure how you would say that. Let's see, ooh, is that going to come up? Bayul? Not sure how well this lens is focusing. So different, I'm using my different camera. So Bayul Halo. So it's a baby yak, baby alpaca, fine merino and silk blend. It's a lace weight yarn. So this one is 4-ply, and that's 60 grams of that, which gives you 220 meters. This one is 50 grams and you get 400 meters, so 437 yards. So, but just the feel of it, it is the softest, yeah, it's the softest, most gentle, fluffy, gorgeous yarn. And I just thought it would be so lovely to hold this with another yarn for a project. So this, for my peak sweater, it does need holding with another yarn, so I could hold those two together. That would kind of justify it as purchase, but I did have something I was planning to hold together with this anyway. I do have some mohair. It's not as nice as this though. So I could use the existing mohair I have with this and save this for a different project, or I could use this with this, which I do think would work really beautifully together. So I might do a swatch and just to see how that looks together before I make a decision on that. So I might do one of this with the other yarn, which is much more of a creamy mohair, and I might do one with this to see which I prefer. But I was confident that I could either use that, if I don't use it in this, quite a lot of my sweaters in my queue will have a held together, so I was confident that I could use that. So I was happy with that purchase. And then this last one is a little bit more off-piste. This is a little bit more getting carried away. So when me and Sam did our first sweep round, the stall that really called out for us, that really drew us in, was from a company called the Raw Wool Company. So they had a very beautiful looking stand, and they are based in Cornwall, and the chap on the stand, it's sort of like a little kind of community. So there's like, he has a farm, and him and the neighbouring farmers have sheep, and there's also there's another lady that had sheep at someone else's farm. So there's several sort of shepherds, farmers there working together, and they had pictures of like the people, and they had pictures of some of the sheep and all that sort of thing. So it just had a really nice feel. It told their story really well. And the yarn was all undyed yarn, so it's literally they breed the sheep, they send their wool off to be spun, and that's what they're selling. So we just really liked the whole aesthetic of the stand. We liked that you could sort of see what they were about, and we just really liked the end product. So again, I'm not a very woolly wool person. I generally find it quite itchy, and as much as I like it aesthetically to look at and I'm very drawn to it, I usually find it quite hard to actually purchase to knit with because of the itchy factor. But as you'll know if you've watched my podcast, I've now made that Icelandic sweater using the Icelandic wool, the Letloppy wool, which is a very sort of toothy, very woolly kind of yarn. And then I've brought this one, which is a woolly wool. And now I've gone and brought something from this company too. So I don't know what's going on. I think it's just that sort of realisation, I guess, that in certain ways I can still use it and I can still sort of enjoy that. I'm never going to be making a pure wool scarf or hat, but for the right project I can use it. So this is the place I was telling you about, the Raw Wool Company. And Raw Wool, of course, because they don't do anything to it, it's completely undyed, it's just spun, and what you see is what you get. And the different colours are all just from the different breeds of sheep. So I have here, this is British Wendsleydale Longwool, and we actually saw some of this unspun, so we had some of just little samples of some of the fleece there, so that you could see kind of like the woolly curly locks. And it was just so beautiful, but it just span up to almost this beautiful coloured, and this one particularly called to me. So they had very creamy ones, they had all kinds of grey, sort of silvery grey, dark grey. This is sort of almost, this kind of got a browny tone to it, and they had another colour darker than this as well, a really sort of almost black sort of wool. So Sam got, I think, one of the darker black ones, one of these, and a paler silver one for a project she had in mind. And this, I'm not 100% sure what my project will be. I think I know, but I am leaving it a little bit open. When we were at the Kettle Yarn stand, she had a sample of an Andrea Mowry knit, which I can't remember the name of. I'll pop it here. Which I was quite taken with, which would work with these two. I can make that with that, and I was quite taken with that. So that's kind of my backup plan, if nothing else. But I have since been looking on Ravelry. I've seen a few other options, including just maybe a ranunculus, which I know like 11 billion people have made, but I've never made one. So that could work, and I think would look really nice in this colour. So I could make it, because looking at the pattern, it seems like you could make it with various different weights, and you just kind of change the gauge maybe to make it work, but they've got it made up in lace weight to kind of fingering DK. So this is 4-ply that I've got here. So I could just make it up as is. I think I'd have enough yardage for that. And I could always make it short sleeves if I needed to. Or I could hold it double with this as well, which could also look really nice together. So yeah, I'm not sure. Again, I might just do a little swatch, see how I feel about that. Yes, so what was I saying about this? So British Wendsleydale Longwool, 100% of that. It's 4-ply. You get 350 metres, which is 382 yards. And it's actually spun in Cornwall. So it's woolen spun as well. Which, I don't know a massive amount of spinning, but I know there's woolen spun, and I can't remember what the other one is called now. Is it just worsted spun? But one gives more loft to the yarn, leaves it more open. It's something to do with the fibres, isn't it? I think if you straighten all the fibres out and comb it first, you get one type of spin, which is sort of a little bit more sleek. And if you don't comb the fibres and get them all in one direction first, you just sort of do it off. That's woolen spun, and it's more sort of lofty and open. People will know about this, I know, so you can correct me if that's not right. Yeah, so this is rare breed Wendsleydale sheep from Julie and Anton's farm. See, it just tells you all this detail. I love that. And they're celebrated for their soft lustre, long wool, and naturally rustic colours. But yeah, I was looking on their website, and they're actually not far from where my daughter's going to university. So I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's not local to me here, but the kind of, I don't know, it just feels like a bit of a connection in a way, that we're going down to Cornwall so frequently in a minute. She's really enjoying her time down there. You know, I really love it down there as well. And then, you know, this is sort of not a million miles away from her being down there, and that's where they're based, and that's what I was drawn to. So it's funny, isn't it? It can be such a small world at times. And he actually gives them a batch number as well, because even though they're not dyed, he was saying that they can kind of change the colour they get depending on what sort of proportion of fleece they put into the spin. So, you know, you could you can sort of do it that way, either by literally the natural colour of the fleece and sort of change whether you have lighter or darker, or whether you blend them. So yeah, it was interesting. He said, you know, you can actually get kind of variations. So we actually give them batches. So if you do need to order off the website, you can kind of, we can match batches for you and things. So that was really interesting. So these are all from batch 2. I said you should put the names on, like this is from Matilda, or this is from, you know, the sheep names, you know. But I think he said one of them had like about 1,000 sheep or something. They will have different amounts. Some people only have a few sheep, some people had quite a big flock. It's like, okay, yeah, that'd be a lot of sheep to name. But yeah, so that's my purchases. Here's all of my goodies. Here they all are. And now I can just sit and have them set out on the side for a while and enjoy them that way. And soon I will want to be winding them up and enjoying them that way. Kind of really can't wait to get into them. But it's a bit like that thing of cutting fabric. I kind of don't want to cut into the fabric and disturb these gorgeous looking skeins that I've got here, but at the same time I really kind of, like, even I could knit up those little swatches, couldn't I, just to see how things come up. That would be quite good. Right, but for now I've got some beautiful piles to admire, so that is very satisfactory. Right, well, I'll leave it there for today then, and yes, I shall hopefully see you on a podcast or maybe another little quiet moment vlog very soon. Until then, I hope you enjoy some lovely, peaceful knitting, crafting, crochet moments, and I'll see you next time. Bye!